was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm back. Welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. As always, I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and every single week we bring you amazing experts in their field to talk about a different subject that you can utilize and apply into your life to elevate relationships, to elevate your success. And you'll find we do talk a lot about business on here because there's some amazing female entrepreneurs that are invited to the show to be able to share in their areas of expertise. And today, Jean Hamilton-Fford is here, and I'm super excited to be interviewing Jean because she is. Wait till you hear about everything that she does from her place in England. It's amazing what she's able to accomplish. And today, we're just going to dive into problem solving. You can use problem solving in everything in your life, whether it's creating dinner with a recipe or a relationship or designing a backyard or creating a business, right? We can use strategies and problem solving in everything we do. And I'm telling you, her strengths really lie in the areas of strategic thinking, maximizing potential. We're going to get into that. So today, I want you to sit back and listen in on the ways that you can maximize your potential. But before we do that, and before we get to Jean, I want to thank today's sponsor of today's show, The Adventures of Julie Jones and Get Shit Done Coaching. Are you overwhelmed and overworked with a never-ending to-do list? Do you constantly feel tired because life seems hard and your needs are nowhere near the top of the priority list? As an adventure and breakthrough coach, Julie Jones will support you in a life that is easy, effortless, and most of all, fun. Stop spending all the time on the have-tos in life and truly live a life of I get to. What are you waiting for? Take action and go to juliejones.biz to book your free 30-minute Live Out Loud call with Julie. I say take advantage of that, because it will be a fun 30 minutes, if anything. I will tell you that. She is such a good friend of mine and has been in my life for so long, and she's there because of how amazing she is. So let's go ahead and get to Jean. She's a TV producer, a media coach, a speaker, and she's on a personal mission to touch the lives of 5 billion people. She's creative problem solving is her forte. Seeing things that others don't is what she is delighted in. Shifting perspectives and continuing to maintain a joyful attitude to amplify her altitude is imperative. Her strengths are strategic thinking, maximizing potential, employing future vision, ideating and connecting people, and desperate. Say that for me.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the word that's there. She helps SMEs and entrepreneurs leverage the value and power of broadcast media to build relationships through the know, like, and trust factor and grow and scale their business. Sorry for that little hump there. Welcome to the show, Jean.
Hey, thank you so much. And I agree, Julie Jones is absolutely fantastic. So they need to be booking a call with her.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
No regrets with that at all.
So your expertise lies in inspired living. When did inspired living, supporting, encouraging, strategy, ideation, giving solutions, when did that really start for you, Jean? Is that something that you created these skill sets over time in your career that you worked in? Explain how you've gotten to this place and have created and really nurtured these skills.
Well, I grew up on an 80-acre farm out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much in Missouri, nearest neighbor a mile away. So I had plenty of time to myself. And a lot of what I did was simply observe. Nature is a fabulous teacher. And it is such a fabulous problem solver. There is nothing that cannot be solved as long as you allow your creative potential to be employed. And it's one of the things I learned on the farm is there is nothing that cannot be solved. You just have to be willing to see with open eyes and potential what is there. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. And if you miss it, it takes you a lot longer to solve it. And sometimes it can be a bit painful in the process. Mm-hmm. But if you keep an open heart and open mind and look with the eyes of potential and in the spirit of creativity, anything can be solved.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of that, that word, everything is, figure outable.
Yes.
Marie Forleo wrote that book, and we actually read that in one of our book clubs. And the whole entire book is about all of the different situations in life since she was a child, as an adult, and in business, that everything is figure outable. And when someone hears that, it kind of gives you a sense of like relief, because the thought is, I can't figure this out. But then when you hear someone say, oh, it's all right, everything's figure outable, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay. So it's possible.
The trick is to get out of your own way.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. That's the trick.
Yeah.
And that's what people struggle with more than anything else. You got to get out of your own way.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean to someone when you say get out of your own way? Explain that in your words, Jean.
I think get out of your own way means stop trying to be right all the time, and stop trying to look for the perfect and correct way to proceed, because there is nothing that is really right or wrong or correct or incorrect. And there's no perfect anything. You need to just let go of your expectations of what you think needs to be the way forward, and entertain possibility and potential. If you can't get out of your own way, you're always going to be stuck.
Yeah, I think we should go back to that word expectation, because Jean and I were on a call a couple months ago, and she had asked me a question, and we were in there with several women in a room, and it's kind of a mastermind time for us. And I had used the word expectation, and she called me out on it. And she said, expectation is a word that's used of a form of control. You expect something, so you want to control the situation. And in my life, I had never really tagged the word control with the word expectation. And so I wrote it down. It's in front of me. It sits here today. I have it right here. No expectations, only love. So it's a reminder to me. And I've talked about it a lot since then. When you said we have to let go of the expectation, I think about it too, because, a lot of individuals, if they're of faith like I am and they pray, they have this expectation of, or even manifest or have a vision board, or, all these things that we do. The expectation of what we're expecting needs to look a certain way, a certain color, a certain shape, a certain person. It needs to have a certain dollar amount, right? That's an expectation and control.
It is.
Instead of praying and allowing, or manifesting and allowing to flow with, and it might not appear to be what you had anticipated it to look like.
Very rarely.
But it's what you really, really needed.
And more usually, if you can let go of the expectations, the control, the limitations, because they're all tied together. The minute you try to control something is the minute you limit what is possible.
Yeah.
If you just let go of that and surrender and trust that everything is well and all things will be provided, they will be, and the more you let go and the more you trust, the more you'll get exactly what you need and more. There is nothing to stop that flow except you.
Do you find that surrendering and letting go is by far one of the hardest feats for a person to do?
I had a master class in it because, as you know, my husband was recently in hospital for a few months, and more than one ward, more than one hospital. He was shifted about a few times. So from his perspective, he was very frustrated. And from his perspective, he was handled roughly on occasion. No one, nurses are stressed over here. In fact, they're going to be on strike before long. There's so many things going on right now to be a pressure cooker in that environment. And it's easy from his perspective to want to yell and scream and holler and, try to control things. So we had this conversation about it because I realized quite quickly that when I spoke to nurses or doctors or interfaced in some way, even over the telephone, as long as I was willing to get out of my own way and surrender what I expected and simply shared with them from my heart what I needed. And if they could please just have within them just a little bit more care and compassion and let them know that would enhance and accelerate everything for John. I got such amazing results, but I was willing to just surrender that and trust that and simply say, I understand where you're at, but I hope you'll understand our perspective too, because this is how it feels to him. This is what he's telling me, and we need to make a shift. And they were more than happy to help.
That's
and this
beautiful.
is the amazing masterclass that you can get if you keep your eyes open and your heart open and simply are willing to let go and be vulnerable. There's so much strength in vulnerability.
Let's talk about how surrendering and problem solving go together hand in hand.
Well, you can't solve a problem without surrendering because you can't control all the variables of anything. There is always an element of surrender, and everything is an experiment. And this is the grand thing about it. If you go into things with this idea that everything's going to go A, B, C, and you're going to get to D, the variables that come in are sometimes X and Y that interrupts. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not the idea here. The idea is it's going to be easy, A, B, C, and I'm going to get to D. But if you simply surrender and say, oh, that's an interesting twist. What can I do with that to help me solve this problem even better than what I thought I could? We want so much to be able to take everything in our environment and see it through the lens that we have of, is this for me or is this against me? Is this something I can utilize to help me, or will this hurt me? And if we see that there's no real help or hurt or for and against, then everything is rather neutral and we can employ it in whatever direction we really choose to, knowing that if we get interrupted, that means there's another choice to be made. And that to me is a grand adventure. So would you rather surrender?
Yeah. How do we marry, say, someone that is very driven, that does goal setting? So they have a vision for their goals for the year. It may be a financial goal. It may be, I just think about my clients and running them through goal setting last year, creating vision boards based on their goals. And so, they've spent week after week, month after month, starting in January of this year, attacking those goals and aligning, things up and measuring those goals. So we have goal setting, and then we have surrendering. How do we marry those two things? And I have some answers because I have some experiences of things that have happened in my life since January. But I would love for you to share that as you would working with someone who was needing to problem solve and who was needing to have some surrender in there, but they're very driven and they've got these goals. And so in their mind, that word expectation comes in, and they have an expectation of, well, if I want to hit my goal this month, I need to drive this much income.
Well, that's really a results-driven kind of way forward because it's all about numbers, and numbers isn't really on the creative side unless you choose to make it a game. And if you're going to make it a game, you can build in some flexibility. And flexibility really is the key to that, because it's just the difference between a tree that is so rigid that in a storm it will break as opposed to bend. Life interrupts. It doesn't matter whether you're driven or not. Life doesn't care about your measurements and your goal setting. And it doesn't really care much about your vision. Life just will interrupt. And it will interrupt at the most inconvenient of times, or when you think that, oh my gosh, I just need to get over this next hurdle and everything will be fantastic. It kind of throws you back for a bit just to make sure, I think sometimes, that it is what you want.
Yeah. It's a really good analogy with the tree. I think we need to remember that a rigid tree will break, right? So it thinks it's strong because it's rigid. But if it doesn't bend a little in the storm, and that those storms are in relationships, those storms are in the growth of our children, in health, the changes that we have in the seasons of who we serve and who we are, and
markets. You can't really control the
business.
Markets. So, it's in everything. There's so many variables out there that are so outside our ability to control them. And there's really nothing you can do. A tornado could come through and wipe everything out. It's like, why are you worried about all of that?
Yeah.
There's no need to worry about any of that, because even if that happens, it offers you an opportunity to maximize your potential.
Yeah. I'll share really quick with the listeners that on my vision board, there's a photo of me speaking, and I wrote with a marker on it times 10. So my expectation in my head, just to share very bluntly with everyone, was I will get 10 paid keynote speaking events for the year. That's my goal. Well, that's not really what has happened so far this year. And I will share with you that out of the blue, because this is on my vision board, this is what I'm manifesting, this is what I pray about, there's a focus to it, that I've been getting contacts and phone calls, and people have been, everything's been working itself out behind the scenes. And many of them have been workshops and reaching out to me to present and do a 2-hour workshop, a 4-hour workshop. And they're paying me to do them, but that's not the vision I had. The vision I had was that I was going to get paid to be a keynote speaker. And now I'm flying to a conference next week, and I'm going to be at this conference in Indianapolis. Yes, I'm being paid to be a speaker, but I'm attending the entire conference. I didn't have that in my foresight when I had put together this plan. So I love that you're sharing, and I wanted to share that story with the listeners because you brought that up, because this is a real flow that I'm in right now. And I have decided that I had a vision that was very rigid of what it looked like for me to be a keynote speaker, because I started getting paid last year, moving into this year, and what I wanted and how many of those I wanted to have. And I created little boxes and tick them off every time. And now I'm like, well, that counts because I'm speaking in front of a group and I'm being paid, and that's a workshop. And then another workshop becomes because of that workshop. And then another speaking opportunity comes because of the last speaking opportunity. And so I haven't really had to do much advertising for it, but the package looks different.
Yes.
And I've had to bend and flow with the way this looks, because I believe I'm being prepared for other things that are what I need to be doing. And then in my mind, the expectation, back to the word, was, no, I need to just stand on the stage and speak for 45 minutes and leave the stage. And God is like, actually, I have something else in mind.
Well, that's so true in many ways, because we are much more than what we think we are. We can do so much more than we think we can.
Absolutely.
We are more gifted than we confess, because our gifts to us are either normal to us, or they are so far removed from our idea of who we are that we seem to have to sweep them under the carpet. There are so many things about us as individuals where we don't recognize fully how powerful we can be, how absolutely creatively intentional we can be, we don't use hardly any of our real potential because we're afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, because the moment you really step into who you are fully is the moment that your life changes. And it changes in a multitude of ways. It changes relationships, it changes lifestyle, it changes connections, it changes even probably the direction you're going to travel. Because the moment you fully employ your potential, my goodness, nothing is there really that can get in your way. And it won't.
Yeah.
Because you are really serving from and through your heart, your soul, and who you are.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And those are really powerful words that you shared with the listeners. I want them to just let that sink in for a moment and ask yourself, are you really surrendering and flowing with and tapping into your greatest potential possible?
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of us can say that we are fully. Yeah.
It's so, people are so afraid of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, if you think about it, every single one of us are so, we're so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your appearance is.
Right.
When you tap into your potential, you're shining so brightly that is all people really see. They're not looking at you.
Yeah.
They're looking at everything else about you.
Mm-hmm.
Your personality, your heart. You know, people don't think you can see anyone's heart, but I'll tell you, if you're sharing from the heart, it shines. It comes forward. And there's nothing that can blind it. It is so powerful.
Yeah. Problem solving through surrender.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flexibility, surrender, trust, acceptance.
Yeah.
All these words that a lot of people find difficult.
So you're on a personal mission to touch the lives of 5 billion people.
Yep.
Why and how? Why and how?
Because that's what I'm called to do. I'm called to see how many people I can touch in order to help shift things. You know, when you start talking the language of love and you start talking from your heart through your soul, you start shifting perspectives. And that is really what I'm called to do, is to help people shift perspective from fear to love, from fighting to surrender and acceptance, from bias to just transparency and authenticity. You know, there's nothing worse than the world the way it is there? I suppose it could get worse. But, you know,
I didn't think it could get worse 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It just,
we don't want to go down that path.
No.
But the only way to really heal all of that is to shift perspective and touch hearts and souls. That's really what I'm about. If I can even do that to 1%, or with 1% of those 5 billion, boy, oh boy, will that ever make a difference. And who doesn't want to make a difference, right?
Mm-hmm. What kind of results are your clients receiving through working with you? Who are you working with today?
Oh my gosh. I think you'd have to ask them, because I don't measure results in money. I don't measure results in how many clients they get. I measure results in how, whenever we work together on the other side of it, what shifts happened for them. And what did it do for them to change their lives? And are they more confident? Are they more self-assured? Are they more loving? Are they more able to accept and navigate through things without, too much difficulty? You know, we're all learning, but I don't measure results by numbers, because numbers are not what I'm about. I don't mind numbers. I know we said 5 billion, It doesn't matter how many does it. I
Yeah.
don't have to actually speak to 5 billion people one-on-one to get to
No.
5 billion.
You don't. I mean, we're reaching tens and thousands of individuals just today on the podcast,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Hundreds
Yes.
of thousands of individuals.
And those hundreds of thousands know at least 250 people each.
Mm-hmm.
And the ripple effect is so naturally wonderful, isn't it?
Grand. Yeah.
So I don't need to reach 5 billion people one-on-one. I can reach enough people in different ways that it ripples out. And I can do that through podcasts, through television shows, through books, through blogs, through whatever, in as many ways as I possibly can. But life interrupts. And right now, life is interrupted. So I'm taking a bit of a hiatus from a lot of things to allow things to flow through. And once that happens, then I can get back to more things if it's in the cards, and it will be in the cards. I'm not worried about it. Everything has divine timing.
I'm glad you said that, because in episode 96, that was what we had talked about, was taking the time to reflect, to make decisions, to step back, to allow, to reevaluate, looking at your values, your life, your happiness. And I just can't imagine it. And I was this person. I was the person. And it just so happened to be my career was in corporate America. And I was that person where I was just showing up every day, and it was just like Groundhog Day. And I was just going through the motions and doing the work every day. And I just, it's so, you have to be in a different place to look back, to understand where you were. And I was, when I became an entrepreneur and then I looked back to where I was, it took a while, but I wasn't being fulfilled. There was nothing that was making me smile. I didn't get to have these conversations with an interview guest like you, Jean, and learn from you and be inspired and motivated by you and be educated. I didn't have that freedom of those opportunities. And so I do think this is a good time, and we've talked about it now for 2 episodes, probably more. There needs to be a reflection time for you to look at your own personal mission and what you want in your life. Sure. The joy, the happiness,
Understand, though, that all those things evolve because you evolve.
Yeah.
And you may think that today your joy and happiness might be found in painting, and tomorrow you might think, oh, I really don't like that. So where can I find my joy and happiness? It might be in singing. The more you change, and you change every minute of every day, the more your values, the more your standards, the more your beliefs, the more your vision, the more whatever you want will change with you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to be completely different in 6 months than you are today. It's okay to even tomorrow to decide you're going to stop what you're doing and start something fresh. It doesn't matter. You do what gives you joy and what you can truly express through from your creative side.
Yeah.
And if we talk about strategy for a minute, I'm going to share with your guests a 6-point way to go.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I created a deck of cards, and one of the cards in it, well, actually 6, a cube of strategy. When you think about a cube, there are 6 different sides. But because one of those sides is right and left, or 2 of the sides are right and left, that's a lateral movement, isn't it? So what I say to people is, if you're looking at a problem, you can start anywhere you want to on the cube. But start with the 6 points. And the 6 points are this: future, which is a forward movement. Past, which is a backward movement. Let me keep track. 1, 2, right? You can do lateral movement to the right or to the left. And some people will say the right is positive, the left is negative. You can say that if you want to. That could be 4. But then you need to look up. and you need to look down.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say those are pros and cons. Okay. But I told you the lateral I put together.
Mm-hmm.
So the sixth one I look at is where I am presently as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter where you start on that cube, as long as you answer those questions about, if you're looking forward, what does that mean? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like to you? What does it feel like to you? What do you know about it? And if you're looking to the past, the same questions, because you want to be able to see where you were, and you also want to have an idea of where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
No expectations, no judgments. It's just, this is what I feel right now in this moment, where I want to be tomorrow or the next day or the week after, right? Doesn't matter. But if you take in those 6 points, future, past, your lateral movement, which can be positive and negative, your up and down, pros and cons, and where you are presently, that will give you all the answers you need.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I know after that, I know that our listeners are going to want to, how do I get more of Jean? How do I connect more with her? So where can they find you? Talk to us through what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
Oh, goodness. Best way depends on them, really. But I'm on social media, so LinkedIn or Facebook. They can go to my website and send me a message through that at jeanhf.com. Other than that, I think I think those are the 3 best ways to reach me.
Yeah.
They can find me places. They'll find me on Zondra Television. They'll find me on the social media channels. Like I said, they'll find me on my website, and of course on podcasts. Because
what is the name of your show on Zondra TV? So if they go to zondratv.com, what is the name of your show?
The name of my show is The Irresistible Life. It's an inside job.
Okay.
We have yet to record and share that. It will be coming in the future. But I was recently, in fact, today, I think Julie Jones, your sponsor, shared my episode with her on her show, Stop Waiting, Start Living.
Oh, nice.
So that has been such a wonderful delight to do with her. You know as well as I do, she's just absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great interviewer, and we just had a blast.
Wonderful.
So
that's great.
They can go find that and have a good time with it.
Yeah. So jeanhf.com, you can go out to Zondra TV and find Stop Waiting, Start Living. And you can find Jean's episode where she was on that TV show. And there's some links that we have here for you as well, like why streaming matters. Why is it important to be streaming? And I know that Jean, as a TV producer and media coach, can give you the tools and assist you in the decision making that you may be looking through and problem solving, how you might be able to get more visibility through some of these opportunities that she has available to you. So be sure to reach out to her at jeanhf.com or, DM her on LinkedIn. Easy. Just DM her on LinkedIn. And if you want to see her beautiful face, just go over to my Facebook page, Colleen Biggs, and you'll find me. And you'll see Jean's video, so you know what she looks like when you look her up on any of the social media channels. And it's been a pleasure to have you here today, Jean. I've really enjoyed our conversation. You bring such a warm presence of love and acceptance and surrender. And I think in everything that we do, whether it be strategy or trying to solve a problem or solutions, is really just to have so much grace with ourselves, and surrender was the word that we used today to the process.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's really important.
Yeah.
No, it's been such a delight, Colleen. We could talk all day, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely could. And I just want to remind all of our listeners, as I do every single episode, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. You're it. You. So what decisions do you need to make in your life to move you in a direction that is happy, that is fulfilling, that is encouraging, that really connects with, who you are? And like you said, Jean, your purpose of what it is that you want to fulfill and do throughout your life. And I say, go chase that, right? Go chase
Always.
that for sure. And thank you so much.
Dreaming big, you need to dream big.
That's right. Dream big.
Life is too short to play it small.
That's right. That's right. You've tomorrow. We're not promised. Yesterday is gone. Never going to be here again. So make sure that you make the best of it while you can, while you're here on earth. So thank you, Jean, for joining us again. Thank you to all of our listeners, our loyal listeners. Thank you for making us the top, 3% podcast in the world. We love you. We appreciate you. We honor you. And until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Until then, bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.